Here you go. Hello, everybody. How are you? Hi, this is Shirley with Shirley's Thread Work, and tonight is Shirley's Wine Down Tuesday. Come and join me. Bring in a glass of wine or something to drink and relax and join into the conversation. How is how are everybody doing tonight? I hope everything is well. I want to say hello and give a shout out to everybody out there in YouTube land as well as Facebook land. Thank you for checking in. Also, want to say hello and thank you to everybody that will be watching the replay. I do appreciate that as always. So, thank you so much for your support. It is always appreciated and very much needed. And I just want to let you guys know I am getting very, very, very close to my next milestone of 2,500 subscribers. And once I get that 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to figure out some kind of way to do a giveaway. With the platform that I have now, they don't have that lottery thing that is on StreamYard, so I have to figure out how to select somebody, but that is the plan when I get that 25 and I only need 50 more people. So tell your friends, relatives, co-workers, everybody to come and watch my live streams every Tuesday night and subscribe. Please subscribe. Look at some of my older videos that are up there. I do have a lot of content on there with a lot of good information. So it would be beneficial to anybody that is interested in learning about embroidery. And especially if you have a 10 needle machine, a brother machine, then you'll learn a lot about using the brother machine, which will be a little bit of something that I will be talking about tonight. So with that being said, I do appreciate that if you do that so I can hit that milestone and try for my next milestone, which is going to be huge. I'm going to try my best to get that 5,000. Once I get that 5,000, there's nowhere to go but up. So that's the plan. So before I forget it, I'm going to ask everybody right off the bat, as you come in, hit that like button, the notification bell, and the subscribe button if you have not already done so. So I do have a few people that have joined in the chat. I want to say hi to them. And that would be Robin and Carol and Jenny and Becky. Oh, Becky, how are you doing? I hope you're doing very well and feeling good. So yeah, I'm surprised to see you, but I'm glad that you're here. And Marina, hi, how are you as well? Thank you for stopping by. So tonight is going to be um, a little conversation, kind of piggybacking on to what I've been talking about for a couple of weeks, but not. I'm not talking about any of the um, what budget friendly uh, machines or anything like that. Other than the fact that I do want to say, once you um, put something on your feed that you have an interest in, you get inundated with all kinds of information regarding those things that you put on your feed. So I have to admit, I am getting inundated in Facebook and YouTube with everything in the world that has to do with the buy embroidery machine. And I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised, and surprisingly surprised that there are so many people that are using these budget-friendly machines, and they seem to be quite satisfied with them. So that is excellent news, and I hope that continues. And just wanted to put that out just in case people are interested in it. So, hi, Angela Brown. How are you? This is your first time here. Thank you. And you've hit the subscription button. I'm so glad. Thank you. I do appreciate it. All of the support is needed. And and Becky, you say you're doing well and your healing is going well. So I am so glad to hear that. I tell you, it is really a blessing. And I do believe in prayers, and it seems like the prayers are being answered. So wanted to just tell you guys, well, not tell you guys, but just I hope you like my t-shirt. Not my t-shirt, my sweatshirt is what it is. And I tried my hand at sequins. I know I had mentioned to you guys a while back that I was going to try appliquing with sequins, and I hadn't done it. So I finally got around to doing it. I actually had it done last week, but I also had the other shirts that I wanted to wear. So I decided that I would put this on tonight so you guys could see my sequence uh, sweatshirt that I did. Create inspirations is what I decided to put on that because that's what I love to do, and that's what I think that I do with this particular platform that I'm on. I am creating inspiration for all of the people that view me. So I hope you like the shirt. I have to tell you a little bit about my experience with it since I hadn't done it before, and I was curious to find out about it and how it would go. I have to admit, the first time you do a sequence, if you've never done one before, be prepared to be a tad bit frustrated. But once you're done with it, you realize that it is not too much different than a regular applique. Now I have to tell you, this turned out really cute, and thank you guys for saying that you like it and everything. But I have to tell you, I thought I was gonna have to pitch it. The way it was looking on the machine as I was doing it, it looked like it was a hot mess. But once I got completely done with it and cleaned it up and used my roller brush and all of that kind of stuff, got it all clipped up and stuff, it actually didn't it wasn't bad. So I was like, "Wow, this is not bad at all. I'll do it again." But I have to tell you, when I was doing it, I honestly thought this was gonna be a throwaway. I was like, "This is a hot mess. Wow." So Marina, you said the cutting is messy and can get tedious. Yes, I'm assuming you've done it before, and that is true. It can be very tedious, so take your time. And yes, it can be messy. And also remember, which I did not do well, I did put a different color um, tack down thread on when I was doing the applique because I knew I needed to have a darker color. The only problem is it was still in the gray family, and what I should have done was done something bright and bold like a green or a red or anything that was going to pop. Because of all of the sequence and stuff that's on there, it's really hard to see where your cutting line is. So keep that in mind when you are doing sequence. Make sure that your tack down thread is going to be a bright, vibrant color, way different than the color of your sequence. If you're doing red sequence, then you might want to do a black or dark navy blue or something like that. If you're doing like this silver, I think I should have done red or like I said, something that was going to pop. But whatever color that you're going to whatever color your sequence is, make sure that your tack down stitching thread is a much brighter color than what your sequence is so you can see your cutting line. Now, I do know that some people are cutting out their sequence applique with a cutting machine like a Cricut or scanning cut. So that is also an option, and I've not tried that, but from all that I've heard so far, it seems to cut well. And if you do it that way, that's going to help a whole lot because I have to tell you that is one of the hardest part about doing sequence is actually cutting it. Everything else is pretty much straightforward. The other thing that I did because I didn't want to have to stop in the middle of my project and make a change. I made sure I started off with a what is it, 80-12 needle. I didn't even do my 75-11. I instantly put my 80-12 in there, and I did not have any trouble at all. I did not have not one thread break. I did break one needle, but it was something that I did. It had nothing to do with the sequence. Don't know what it was. Don't remember what happened, but I was kind of surprised because I hadn't even really started stitching. Matter of fact, the needle broke before I even put the sequence down, so it had nothing to do with the sequence. But I did go ahead and put my 80-12 needle in before I actually started doing any of the sequence stitching because I wanted to get ahead of the game. So I did that. And like I said, everything turned out fine. And somebody who was at Maggie, hi, how are you? Did you break any needles? I haven't tried sequence yet. So I answered that question. I did not break any needles with the stitching directly on the sequence, and I'm pretty sure that that was because I did not use the 7511. I went straight for the 80-12 because I didn't want to have to stop midway because of a needle break or something like that. So, hi, Catherine, how are you? And hi, Deborah, how are you as well? Who else? And hi, Leslie, how are you? Who else popped in? And Marina said, girl, you sparkle and shine like a diamond as usual. Oh, well, thank you. I thought it was kind of cute to sparkly. And Maggie said, you noticed my sweat, so shirt it's beautiful. Thank you. And Linda, hi, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. Love my sweatshirt. Good, 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 good. Let me see who else has made a comment. Um, okay, I think that's pretty much all of the comments. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my shirt because I was determined to do that. Now I tell you what I did today. And I'll get to our conversation in a minute. But today I had planned, and I had forgotten all about this shirt and that I wanted to wear it. I was going to make another shirt to wear. Everybody's doing this, what they call bling broidery is what they're calling it, bling broidery, which is embroidery and bling in our rhinestone. Now I don't know if you guys remember, but a year or so ago, I already did the bling broidery um, concept. I have at least two videos where I've done that, but I used a dime software called Cut and Stitch to do it with. Now, the people that are doing the bling broidery now they're actually going into Silhouette Design Studio, the business edition, because that's what you have to use if you're going to use that particular software to um, to make their rhinestone template around their embroidered design. And I watched a couple of videos, two different processes. They were very similar, but then a little bit different. And so I decided which one I was going to follow. I followed Angel B. Next time I try, I think I'm going to follow Sean for all things Sean, because they both were very simple. But Angel B had one process that was different. Since I do have Embroidery Stitch Artist 3, I was able to do my SVG with that really simple and quick and then go into my Silhouette Studio. I did my design beautifully, my template beautifully in looks. I wasn't able to cut it out. I was not able to cut it out. I wanted to cut it out on my um, scan and cut. I have yet to figure out how to get it to recognize my rhinestone, even though I put the serial number and all that stuff in there. So I got to play with that. So I couldn't upload my design that I had created, my template into Scan and Cut. So I went to my trusty um, Cricut, which I had no problem getting it into my Cricut, and I was actually trying to cut it out, and then I could tell that it wasn't cutting correctly, and I realized two things. One, my uh, design center, I believe, needs updating or something because I wasn't able to put the parameters in there. And the other thing is I didn't space my rhinestone circles well enough because I noticed that they were cutting way too close together, and that was a big problem. So I wasn't able to do that template. So I'll work on that project again. But I'm also in the process trying to remember how to do my cut and stitch because I said that's even quicker and easier because I can do everything in the one software. I can do my embroidery design as well as my rhinestone template and export both of them out and go ahead and do the thing. So anyway, I'll be working on that. So Jenny, the sweatshirt is cool looking like the silver letter. Thank you. Um, Marina said, "Look at Making with Marilyn. She uses them brilliant." Yes, I now does she do her template in embroidery, or she creates the? Um, well, I did my design in brilliance. Then you go into silhouette. So I'm not sure what Making with Marilyn does. If she's creating her rhinestone template directly into embrilliance, that's kind of surprising to me. And Marina said, yes, that was our venture with the cut and stitch software. Yep, we did. And Marina, you said you used your 7511 needle with Solvay over the final stitch and didn't have a needle break. I really slowed my machine down. Yes, I put Solvay on top of my rhinestone, my sequence as well. And um, I probably would not have had a needle break, but I just didn't want to trust it. And I decided because these rhinestones are big and thick kind of, and I wasn't sure if it was going to survive. And I don't think my 7511s that I use don't they're not titanium. So I was just a little concerned. And like I said, I wanted to be proactive. But you don't necessarily have to use a you don't have to use a 80/12 needle up front if you don't want to, but that's just a tip just in case you want to be sure that you avoid it. That was just my thought process. And Marina, you also say you watch Coretta Dangerfield as far as doing the rhinestones. And then Catherine, you say you watch craftable things. So it's a lot of different people out there that are doing the bling embroidery, and it is really a cute and fun project. But like I said, I do have a video where I did a jacket bag as well as a t-shirt using HTV glitter vinyl and embroidery as well as rhinestones. So I have to say that I was like a year or so ahead of the trend. Anyway, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with uh, tonight's subject, which is multi-needle machines and basically not being afraid of it, and what have you decided what you're going to do. You know, no hype, just plain information about it. Now, um, a lot of people in the conversation that we were having, some people have machines and some people don't. So, how many of you actually have multi needle machines? I know most of the ones that are regular that come on here, I know for a fact that you guys do have a multi-needle machine, and most of you all have the PR1055X, which is really cool that you have that, because I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the specifics about that machine. So, does anybody else that I'm not familiar with, if you don't mind, if you have a multi-needle machine, if you can just say, yes, I have one, and what kind do you have? How many needles do you have? And how long? And what's the brand, if you don't mind sharing? I'm being a little nosy, but if you don't mind sharing that information, I'd like to know the brand, how many needles, and basically how long have you had it. So Angel B, you say you have the Ricoma 10 needle. Now, do you have the EM 1010 or do you have the Creator? And who is this? CB Real? So you have a brother PR, brother, what is it? Brother PR brother PR 1000E. And who is that? Rebecca. Hi, how are you? You have a 10 and a 15 needle. Both of them are Ricoma. Good, good. And then how are you, Miss Joy? How are you? Um, thank you so much. Who else has put in there what they have? So yes, a lot of you have your machines, and I have had my machine for 5 years now, and I am very glad that I got it. Even though when I bought my machine, I have to tell you I was torn, and the day that I got it, honestly, the day that I purchased it, because they had to deliver it, but I was in the dealer shop and standing in the mid aisle, and there was the 10 needle machine on one side and the luminaire on the other side, and I'm literally standing in the middle, vacillating back and forth, trying to make up my mind which one to get because I love them both. In all honesty, and I have to admit, I still love them both, and for various reasons, but they're very, very good machines. Tonight before I came on air, I was watching somebody that was demoing their Avenir and talking about all of the things that the Avenir can do and all of that. And it made me think about our PR 1055 or 1050 machine, or even the 1060W, which I don't have. That's the newest 10 needle machine. The one biggest advantage or difference I would say between the brother machines and baby lock machines, because as you guys know, they're sisters, is that, and that's one of the reasons why the machine is so expensive. Those machines are so expensive. Brother adds a lot of software into the machine that allows you to do a lot of mini digitizing work from directly from your machine. It is so much that you can do with this machine. If you go to your LCD panel and go through my design center, or I forgot what the baby lock one is called, but they're almost exactly the same. IQ Designer, I believe. IQ Designer for baby lock and my design center for brother. It is just it's just mind blowing at some of the things that you can do. And the reason I bring that up is that I have watched most recently, because a lot of people are demoing their machines, especially the buy and the buy mirror and the stitch smart stitch and stuff. And I'm looking at their LCD panels, and I'm looking at the process. And even with the Ricoma, I'm familiar with the Ricoma EM1010 uh, uh, machine. They don't offer what you're going to get with a brother machine. They are pretty basic when it comes down. They're specifically for embroidery. Now they do come, I know the Ricoma comes with a digitizing software. I think it's Chroma, I believe. It comes with a digitizing software. Melco has their digitizing software or a software. So maybe the other machines do come with software, but I'm not sure that they are integrated into the machine itself, because I do know that the Bracoma one is not. It is push the button. It tells you, I mean, it will do the tracing and the sizing and storing of the patterns and all of those kinds of things. And some of the machines have lasers for the ability to pinpoint where the stitching is going to start and where the needle is going to drop down to, all of those kinds of things, which are very important. But they don't offer you some of the same things that you get with the Brother machine that is so wonderful, I think, because we can do so many design type things with that machine. So I'm not going to get into that right now, but I will in a minute. So basically, for those of you that don't have multi-needle machines, or even when you first got your multi-needle machine, you can relate. What made you decide to get one? And were you intimidated? I have seen so many people that have said they have a machine or they're going to get a machine, and the machine just sits there because they're intimidated by it. They don't want to use it. They're afraid. It has too many needles. There's too many buttons to push. I don't know which way to go. I don't know what the machine is going to do. And so they get really, really nervous about using the machine. And if they don't have someone good around to train them, then they may never become comfortable with the machine. Um, the learning curve is there. If you're used to using a single needle machine, which can also be intimidating for some people if you've never done embroidery before and you haven't done your background research, it can be intimidating because it's not a sewing machine. You can get the combo machine like the SE 1900 and different combo, even the Avenir and the Luminaires and the Solaris and Radiance and some of these other machines that I'm not familiar with. They can be combo machines where you got the sewing and the embroidery, which also makes it a little bit more complicated. But you you can pick that up, I think, pretty quickly because you're only dealing with one needle and there's only so much you can do, especially if it's not a high-end brother machine, because you don't get a whole lot of the bells and whistle type stuff. Now, my SE 1900, I got a bunch of designs on there, and I mean, it does some really cool stuff. You got the auto threader when it works, and different stitches, and I mean it's a good machine, but it's miles and miles away from the Luminaire and the Avenir. But it's a good machine. It's pretty, I would say, average with all of your other sewing machines or basic embroidery machine. It's not one of the top of the line. So you get used to that machine and then you jump up to or upgrade to a multi-needle machine. Then you start getting worried. You have all of these threads, you have all of these needles, you have your LCD panel here where you have the LCD panel here. And I mean, even with mine, as you can see, I can put um, my own screensaver in there. You have all of the different things that you can do. And it's just amazing some of the stuff that you can do. I know you don't see it close enough, but there's all of this quilting designs in there and borders and all of that kind of stuff that you can have. Then you also have your crosshair and your um, needle positioning and things like that that comes with your machine that you have to figure out what to do. Now, those of you that don't have machines, are you curious about a machine? Have you hesitated in getting a machine because you feel like you're going to be overwhelmed and you're not going to be able to figure it out, or you don't think you're going to have all of the training that you think you're going to need? I've had people to tell me that they started watching my channel because I was talking about how to use their machine, the Brother 1055X, because it wasn't and still isn't a lot of tutorials out there telling you how to use the machine. And if you're like me, I have found that most of the tutorials are out there, um, talk about single needle machines, how to make something or do something or create something on a flatbed single needle machine. And my goal when I first started my channel was to show people how to do the exact same process on a multi-needle machine, because believe it or not, it is different. It's not the same. It's not the same. Now, because you have more needles, that can be intimidating as well, depending upon your machine. If you get what they call a commercial machine, like somebody said they had the Vacoma 15 needle machine, if you have a 15 needle or greater machine, they are pretty much considered commercial machines, and your needles are different. You get the round needles. You don't get the flat needles. The flat needles are for basically home machines, and that would be your flatbed single needle machines or your multi-needle machines up to at least a 10. Now, I don't know about 12 and up because I never had a 12 needle machine, but I do know that most of all of the 10 needle machines, except for the Racoma EM 1010, I know it uses round needles, and but most of the machines will use flat needles, which makes it a lot easier to change your needles because you can only get it in one way. If you have a round needle, whether you all know it or not, you have to put the needle in correctly. And you say, Shirley, what do you mean correctly? It's round. Just stick it in there. Well, no, there's a front and a back to a needle. I don't know if you know that or if you've ever paid any attention to it, but there literally is a front and back to a needle, the round needle. There's a groove that comes down the front of the needle. It's not very visible if you're not looking for it, but there is a groove, and that thread goes in that groove. And it is required for you to have that needle facing forward with the groove facing forward and the thread going in it. If you don't, you're going to have thread breaks. So that puts another element onto um, managing that machine, because you have to learn how to put that needle in correctly. And they have little tools and different hacks and stuff that you can use to make sure that happens. But just keep in mind that is something that you have to do. The other thing is your machine, there's a bigger body. Now, I was watching a video, and it's interesting how people kind of say things. And this one lady had a room full of bi mirrors and bi vision machines. And she was doing a comparison between the bi mirror and the bi vision. And she came straight out the box and said that the bi mirror was 500 pounds and 600 pounds when they deliver it because of all the packing. And that's not true. It is a very heavy machine. But even their own literature says that the bi mirror is 295, if I'm not mistaken. It's right at 300 pounds. And with the packing, when you get it, it's going to be 400 pounds. Now, that's 100 pounds lighter than what she mentioned, which is significant. And also the bi vision, she mentioned something like 800, 900 pounds. But anyway, I just kind of cringed when I heard her. And I was like, that's not true. They're huge and they're heavy. They're not so big that they won't fit in. I think the bi mirror machine is not much bigger in diameter than my machine here. It's just a more solid, heavier machine. I don't know why it is, but it is, because this machine doesn't even weigh a whole 100 pounds. It's like 92 to 98 pounds, if I remember correctly. Whereas, again, like I said, the bi mirror, which is about the same size, is right at 295, roughly 300 pounds. So that's 200 pounds heavier than this machine, which is very important because you have to think about where I'm going to put it and how I'm going to get it wherever it is. The sounds are different. Sounds are very important. You need to pay attention to your machine. Your machine talks to you. It will tell you what's going on. So if you learn your sounds on your machine, and even with your flatbed, but especially with your multi-needle machines, because oftentimes you're off doing something else because you don't have to sit there and watch it, because you don't have to keep threading, changing the thread, because when you set your needles up, you usually can just move around and do something else. But the sounds will tell you what's going on. And when I say sound, I mean the sounds that the machine itself makes. You can pretty much, I know when my bobbin is empty versus like a thread break, or maybe I possibly have a bird's nest, or I need to clean out my bobbin area, the needle plate area and all of that. The sounds will tell me. Also, even just recently, I had my machine oiled up and maintained and everything, and I could tell that it was getting to the point where I really needed to have it done because the sound of my machine had changed. And when the technician got here, he told me my machine was pretty dry, that it was definitely time for an oil change or oil job. And I knew that. That's why I said, okay, bite the bullet, go ahead and do it, take it in, or get somebody out. Because I could tell just from listening to my machine that it is definitely needing to have service done. So that comes from 5 years of paying attention to your machine and learning it. Um, so that's something that is different, a little bit different than when you're dealing with a regular flatbed machine. And then your workflow is totally different. Like I said, you can move around and do other things. You're not tethered to your chair because you have to constantly change threads if you're doing some type of design that requires a lot of different colors and so forth and so on. So that gives you some freedom where you can just create a better flow. And it's always recommended, and I agree 100%, especially if you're doing it as a business, whether it's a big business, or just a small here and there business. The items that you make the most are the hoop, put it that way, the hoop that you use the most. I highly recommend that you have at least two of those hoops. Now, me personally, I use strictly Mighty hoops, and I don't have two of all of my hoops, but I had been. I'm not doing it now. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but I used to do a lot of left chest logo, left chest logo, left chest logo. After I got out of the mask situation, I got to the left chest logo. But even with the mask situation, which was a lot, I was using my 5x5 Mighty hoop. So I really needed two 5x5 Mighty hoops. When I got into the left chest logo situation, I definitely needed two of them, which helps with your workflow because you're constantly switching out, switching out, switching out. So when you have one hoop on the machine, you're hooping up your next one. So when that one is finished, you take that one out, stick this one in, punch, go, and keep moving and keep switching back and forth. That saves a lot of time and it increases your productivity, and time is money. So you're going to be able to get a lot of things, a lot more done. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying every hoop that you own, you need two of them. But what I am recommending, that if you use your 5x5 or your 8x9 or your sleeve one, which I think mine is like three, uh, a 3 1/4 by 9, I think is what it is. I can't remember. If you do a lot of sleep, those are things that you need to have at least two of so you can switch them out and um, make sure that you're going to be as productive as possible. The other thing, which we have absolutely no control over, but I know people, it adds to the intimidation, and that is cost. These machines are not cheap. These machines are not cheap. Most multi-needle machines are relatively expensive. Even when you're looking at the budget-friendly machine prices, they're very economical compared to, and that's where I'm going from. Compared to what this one costs versus what a buy mirror costs, you could say cheap, inexpensive, budget friendly, or whatever, because it's a significant difference in the cost. One is well over 10,000 and the other one is well below 10,000. That's where I can put it. I can't tell you exactly what the prices will be because it depends upon where you buy it, how much you're going to pay. If you get it used or brand new, all of those things play into the cost of the machine. But what I can tell you, if you're looking at getting a 10 needle machine, be prepared to come up with at least 10 grand, at least. And that is at your low end. And it goes up from there. And I'm talking about brothers and Vacomas and Melcos and all of those. They constantly go up. They constantly go up. I mean, some of the machines and just one head machine can be $25,000 or more, depending upon the brand. So I mean, Tajimas and what is it, SWF and the ZK something other, those machines are extremely expensive because they are considered the workhorses and the commercial machines and they last forever and so forth and so on. And they cost a lot of money. They're going to cost you up there 20,000 plus. Whereas you can get like the PR 10, the PR 1055 or 60, because that's the newest one. I haven't priced them. The manufacturer's suggested retail price runs about 20 something $1,000. But I would never tell anybody to spend that money because if you go into these shops and talk to them, you depending upon where you go, most likely you can get it for less than $20,000. So make sure you do that. Please make sure you shop around. That goes for your Avenires. And if you can find a Luminaire, you can get that under 10 if you're lucky to find one. But even with the Avenir, I was able, when I went to Florida, because this is where I bought my machine from when I was living in Florida, got a really good deal. So when I went down there over the holidays, I wanted to go back into the shop and just kind of find out if they had a luminaire and if they did, what it was costing. They didn't have one, but the woman that was in there offered me an Avenir that has a suggested retail price of $23,000 for $15 cash. If I could pay cash, no finance, I said $15. I mean 15,000. 15,000. If I could pay cash, I could have walked out of there with a 20-something thousand dollar machine for 15,000. And even at being financed, it was only going to be 17. So only is a big deal saying only 17. But the point I'm trying to make is it the prices can be negotiated and brought down depending upon where you're going to buy it. So don't just plop down the first place you go and they give you this high ridiculous price and you say okay and hand them money. Shop around. Whatever you're going to do, shop around and see if you can come up with a better deal. And also, don't be afraid to look at previously owned machines, especially if you know someone that can check it out for you and have your parameters in place that what you're not going to go, how many stitches they're going to have, what the maintenance history is, all of that kind of stuff, and then have some kind of warranty of some kind if possible to make sure you're not going to get a limit. But you can save a lot of money. A lot of people get their machines and they end up selling them. They stop embroidering. Mama bought it, mama has passed on, things like that. And they're selling these machines for a relatively decent price. So check into that if you're interested in it, especially with the multi needle machine, because as I'm talking about it, people are intimidated. They get them home and they just stare at them and they realize I don't want to use this machine because I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't understand it. I'm not technical. I think it's too difficult. I was looking at a couple of people doing the buy and all of the different, the icon names are different. And it's a relearning for me. If I was to do that, it would be frustrating for me in the beginning because the learning of the machine is going to be a lot different than the learning of this machine. This machine, I was anxious about getting it. I mean anxious in a good way. I was excited. I wanted to get the machine. I did my research. I studied about it. I looked at videos and unboxings and setting ups and all that kind of stuff. So by the time I purchased my machine and got it home, I was ready to go. I stitched out a hat that was one of the first things I did with my machine because I felt very confident with the machine and it worked out well. Everybody doesn't do that. So I did not feel intimidated at all with the machine. And one of the reason is because I had a multi-needle machine before. Now, when I got my first multi-needle machine, going from my single needle SE 1900, I wasn't intimidated. Again, I was excited and I was anxious. However, I couldn't get that machine to do anything. I couldn't get it to move until I had a training class because it wasn't intuitive. This machine is very intuitive. Push the button, it does this, push that button, it does that, push this button, it does that. These other commercial machine type, they're not. You have to do sequences and you have to, know which one to hit first. And before you can get to that one, you got to get to this one and so forth and so on. So it is a learning curve. It's not the same as turning on your flatbed machine, hitting the button and putting the hoop on and letting it rip. It's not the same, but it is not difficult to learn. It can be, you can do it. You can definitely do it. So don't let that stop you at all from getting a machine if that's something that you really, really want. Now, a lot of people are afraid of wasting money. Like I said, they get the machines, realize that they don't feel like they have enough technical knowledge to operate it, so they don't get it because they feel like I'm intimidated. Also, a lot of people, I had a person on here a few weeks back, they have issues with size and weight. This particular person was telling me about getting multi single needle machines for her business versus getting one or two multi needle machines. And the reason was because of the size and the weight and her inability of maneuvering the machine, which makes perfect sense because if you don't have anybody that especially if you got the Racomas and the 15 needle machines and what have you, if you don't have anybody that come into your place of business to maintain that machine, then you got to do it. That's the other thing that you got to keep in mind. The commercial machines, they expect you to be the one that is going to do the maintenance. They expect you to be the one to actually take the machine loose and do the oiling. They expect for you to be the one that is going to troubleshoot and figure out how to fix it. Now, you might be able to do a FaceTime or a email or something like that and get some assistance or read the manual or what have you. But the expectation is you are your own mechanic. You are the one that's going to be unscrewing the plastic part off your machine and going down there to the guts where all the mechanical stuff is, the parts that move around, and knowing where to oil it. knowing what needs to be tinkered with, adjusted, all of that. That is something that is expected of anyone that has a quote unquote commercial machine because the machine is so big. Perfect example, the buy, mirror and the buy vision, those 300 and 400 pound machines, nobody's carrying that machine in and out the door. That's not happening. And if you don't have someone that can come in, then you're the one that has to do it. So keep that in mind. That's something that is expected. This machine has been out the door at least twice. However, I've been lucky enough to have found two different people, different areas that have come in. Now, if and whenever I move again, depending upon where that may be, which is probably gonna happen, I'm gonna be looking for someone that is willing to come in. I don't want to take it out, even though it is mobile, because it's 100 pounds or less. Two people can do it. Me and my husband have done it twice. So it can be done. It's not impossible. It's not the most fun thing to do, but it's not impossible. But I prefer, just for the safety of myself and the machine, that someone just comes in and do it. But, that's something that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about getting a machine. Now, when you have the single needle machines, you can take those in. However, these machines, single needle machines, are getting bigger and bigger. Have you seen the Solaris, the Avenir? Those machines are huge. Somebody said today that it's 70 inches of workspace. 5 feet is 60 inches. I'm 5 feet two. I think maybe she's talking, I don't know, but anyway, I don't think the thing is 6 feet because that's 72 inches. It may be at least 4.5 to 5 feet long because they're huge. They take up a lot of space. The Avenir, the Solaris, the Radiance, those are the ones, what is it, the Genome Continental M17. Those things are huge. They take up a lot of room. So those are machines, even though they have the rolling bags and what have you, that I personally would be very leery in hauling those in and out as well to a repair shop or somewhere for maintenance. I would want someone to come in and take care of that as well because I don't like moving things like that around too much because that can cause problems to the machine itself. The other thing people are concerned about is, as we were saying, the breakdown learning curve and the maintenance and the oiling and all of that kind of stuff. Then you got to learn the multiple needle path. Now with my machine, with the brother machine, we don't have to put the thread through tubes. A lot of the other commercial machines have rubber tubes that the thread goes through, and they have this threading tool that you use. And heaven forbid your thread breaks and you have to rethread. It's not impossible, but it's not as easy as this one is because there's no tube. It's up and a over and around and a through and all that kind of stuff. So it's similar to threading a regular machine because you got to get the loop, the lever that goes up and down. You got to do that, and you got to come through different pathways and stuff and come down. And then you got to go through the tension and come around and all that kind of stuff. So it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve, but it's not difficult. I can thread this machine. I don't have to worry about remembering how to thread it. If for some reason my thread gets all discombobulated and breaks, and I say, forget about it, I'm starting from ground zero, and I'm going to thread it from the back all the way through to make sure that it is a good threaded path. I can do that. Go around the tension in the whole 9 yards and not be concerned that I didn't thread it correctly. So I can do that. But when you're dealing with the ones that have the tubes where the thread has to go through it, you can do that too, but it's just an extra step that you have to learn and become comfortable with. Also understanding your tension. Now, there is a controversy with tension, um, or maintaining tension. Depending upon your machine, I have seen people, especially using Melco, because I've watched people with Melco, and it has that auto tension thing that I really love. But I have seen people, which I wasn't aware that you can adjust your pressure foot, and I think they even adjust the tension recognition or something. And I was like, we don't do any of that on the Brother machine. I've never adjusted the pressure of my presser foot at all. And I rarely touch the tension. The only time I even really look at the tension is as if one of the needle is not stitching correctly. And then I look to make sure that it is threaded on the tension correctly and the tension has not slipped to the point where I know it's too loose. And you can kind of tell if it's too loose or too tight just simply by pulling the thread, and then you can adjust it. However, they pretty much recommend that you don't mess with the tension. And I don't. I don't mess with the tension that often on my machine. I don't know what some of you guys do, but I personally don't mess with the tension that much when I'm doing my stitching. And if you guys do, let me know. And if you do, what do you how do you make a decision whether or not you need to do something with the tension? Is it, I know if it's not stitching correctly or whatever, then you, is that one of the first places you go to? Is looking at the tension, or do you look at your needle and more of the things that's going on at the bottom part versus what's going on at top? Because for me, I don't look at what's going on at the top first. I look at what's going on down here first, and if I can't get it fixed, then I'll start looking up at the top to make sure it is still threaded correctly. There's no kinks in my thread. It hasn't hopped out of the tension, um, the little clips that they have to be under and stuff. I look at those things because that could be part of the problem. But yeah, you still have to check it. And your hooping consistency. Now, the thing with hooping, for me, with a single needle machine, you can't use mighty hoops. Now, they do have magnetic hoops for the single needle machine. I don't know if they have them in all the sizes that you need or want, because my single needle machine doesn't come any larger than a 5x7. So, oh, you said I'm not reading my chat. So, what's going on in the chat that I need to be seeing that I'm missing? People asking me questions. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I don't want to. I don't want to miss anybody that may be asking me questions. So thank you for pointing that out. Because yeah, I was looking at the chat, but I really wasn't reading anything that much. Let me see. See, Burrell 10 needles since last summer. Angel does have the M1010. And let me see. And Rebecca McGinnis, you so wish you had purchased the 15 needle. Yeah, yeah. I wish I had gotten a 15 needle as well. Kingsbury Craft, how are you? You have a 12 needle and a 15 needle, both Chinese Tajima knockoffs, 2 years and 3 years. 3 years. How do you like them? You said they're Tajima knockoffs. What does that really mean? And Maggie has a PR 1055X needle for about 3 years. Okay. Hi, Betty. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. You have the Racoma 15 needle. And Linda, thank you for stopping by. You said, at my local dealer, I was looking at one of the complex Avenir picture embroidery designs. And when I looked at the multi needle, that admitted that they had done the stitch out on the, they admitted that they had done the stitch out on the multi-needle. Okay. So they hadn't done it on Avenir because they didn't want to go through all that thread change. That's what it was. And Catherine, you had the 15 needle red line. Okay. I have hats that I purchased when I bought the machine. I very seldom use because you're comfortable with embroidery. I have hats as well, and I have really never used it. And you also have the Baby Lock 6 needle. And Linda, you say you had the 10 needle Baby Lock equivalent of the Brother 1050. You haven't been too intimidated thanks to great YouTube folks like me. Thank you. However, I have yet to use my serger purchased last March. We're going to have to do some serger things too, because I have a serger, Baby Lock Celebrate. And I have used it, but not a lot. So I am nowhere near savvy with sergers, but I want to learn more about using a serger. And Linda said, I also use Embrilliance for small resize, and you use the Baby Lock software in the machine. I use my design center to do sizing as well. Often, I size it and do everything that I want to do with it in Embrilliance. And if I put it on the machine and do my tracing and I'm uncomfortable, still with the tracing, that I will go into my design and I will do the resizing in there. And I'm hopefully everybody knows that there is a button when you go in to do the resize. Make sure you click on the icon that will maintain your density and your registration and all of that when you are resizing in the machine. That way you're going to get a good stitch out. Don't just resize it with not hitting that other button that's up there. Let me see if I can get out my design. Yeah, ain't nothing loaded in here. La, la, la. Bring something up. Next to your size icon, which is the first icon on, if you're facing the machine, it's going to be to your left. The one that's right next to it that looks like a zigzag, that is um, your digitizing safety net, I guess, because it is going to maintain the integrity of the design, even though you're resizing it in the machine. So I never resize anything in my machine without hitting that button. That way I know whatever I resize it to, the integrity of the design is going to stay. And it will only resize to a certain degree. It will not allow you to resize it crazy where you're going to get off registry and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out as a tip for anybody that may not be aware of that. Catherine, you have the 6 needle Baby Lock. And Linda, you say you rely heavily on the built-in camera. I do too. And the built-in camera with the crosshair to me is very similar to having the projection or the projector that you get with the Avenir and the Luminaire. Now we don't get the projector where the design is projected, but you can see the design on your screen with the camera. And then with your crosshair, you can manipulate it and use your directional buttons to move that crosshair where you want it to go. And if you use your snowman, then it will recognize where, if you put the snowman where you want it to start stitching, then the machine recognizes the snowman and it goes to that point. So therefore you can make sure that everything that you put in there is going to stitch at the correct point and go and stay centered or whatever it is that you're trying to do. So that is an excellent feature that we have on our Brother 1055 and 1050 machine that does some of the same things that the Avenir and Luminaire and those type of machines, the ones that have the My Design on the flat needle machine. So I love that. And Marina, you said I'm saving my coins and patiently waiting for brother to launch a really new multi-needle machine. Tell me about it. One, yes, yes. I hope that happens. And Maggie, I went from a brother NQ 1600 to the PR 1055X. Yes, a learning curve, and I still have lots to learn. You have to jump in and start playing. I've watched so many YouTube videos for help. Thank you. Yes, it does help. And Miss Joy, how are you? No, I got beat out. I got beat out of some money on fear. Now I'm cautious and I'm doing my research. Yep, do that. That happens too. And Carol, that was high five. Oh, good. And Miss Joy, I'm praying. What are we? I'm praying a machine fall out. Yeah, hope for your machine will fall out the sky. I've learned digitizing way before I've gotten a machine. Well, see, I don't know digitizing. I'm trying to learn a little bit about digitizing, and I went on and got the whole package of Stitch Artists for embroideries, which I said I was not going to do because I have Hatch and PE 11, PE Design 11. I haven't used either one of those. However, I have found just in the little length of time that I've had the Stitch Artists 1, 2, and 3 that it seems to be a lot easier, and I'm using some of the things, not a lot, but some of the things. And Marina, I love the Brother Playbook. They offer a ton of guidance at your own pace. And Maggie, I really appreciate you teaching all you do on the 10 needles. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. And Marina, thank you for bringing that up because I did pull it out to bring up tonight. If you guys don't have this, if you have the PR 1055X and you never did buy this book, check it out and see if they've come down in price since they got the new machine out. They may have. When I bought this thing, it was over 200 bucks, and that I don't think it's worth $200, but it is a good machine, a good learning tool, and it comes with this. It looks like a little credit card, but it's actually a USB disk that you put into your computer, and it has like 20 some odd, almost 30 videos on here that shows you how to do a whole lot of stuff in your my design center. I mean, it goes through all kinds of different things. And that's how I learned how to do a lot of stuff that I learned how to do. It goes through the machine operation screens. It talks about embroidery functions like stippling and echo stitching and color shuffling, using your alphabet, rotating, mirroring, embroidering on caps, um, doing split designs, fabric thickness detection, resizing, alignment, applique letters. Um, what else? The connecting by your camera, and then it goes into my design center, and it just tells you how to do so many different things, and the book tells you how to do it. They have page by page with instructions and everything. But the jewel for me is this, because these are live videos with a person actually doing the tutorial, just like you're looking at YouTube or what have you. And the lady shows you how to do everything that pertains to whatever project that she's working on. And the blessed thing about it is you can look at it over and over and over and over again. And so I keep this thing at my fingertips all the time. And I will be going through this again, doing some more lessons out of this book to learn how to do some things that I'm interested in doing, because I'm working on learning more about quilting. And it's got a lot of quilting type projects and information on our machine and in this book. And I also brought down my manual. I know oftentimes I will tell people, they'll ask a question and I say, look in your manual, look in your manual. Now, I have to be honest about it. This manual is just like anybody else's manual. Sometimes it looks like Greek and it sounds like Greek, but there is information in here. And the thing that's most important, I think, about the manual is when people tell you to do X, Y, Z to your machine, when you see them on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever, check the manual first before you go do it and see what the manual says, because the manual is going to keep you out of trouble. Everybody doesn't give you correct information. They tell you what they do. They'll give you a shortcut or they'll do whatever. But I always try to check my manual. If somebody tells me to do this or do that or touch this or screw that or push this button or whatever, I go check and see what the manual says and see if it's in the manual first before I do it, because I don't want to mess up. I want to learn how to do it correctly, because it might have worked for you. Doesn't mean it's going to work for me. I might do it thinking I'm doing it the way you said and do something totally different and absolutely jack it up. And that's not my plan, because the machine costs too much money. So thank you, Marina, for bringing up the playbook, because I had definitely planned to mention the playbook. Now, the 1060W is out. Don't know if they have a playbook for that, if anybody has bought it. The 1050 machine, PR 1050, does have a playbook. If it's still available, I do not know. And it costs significantly less than the 1055X during the time when I was buying mine and my friend was buying hers for the 1050. Now, that's been several years ago now, so I don't know if either one of these books are available still. And if they are, I don't know what they cost. But if they are, and you don't have one and you still want to learn something about your machine, I highly recommend that you check into it to see if they're available and if they're reasonable. Now, Miss Joy, when I can, I'll either be getting that pulling 15 needle or the buy 15 needle. And Linda, I tend to do the same thing. I use my Luminaire or my NQ3550W. And Becky, we need to do a Wednesday night social for the surgery machine, but I don't have a surgery. I'm not back to. I wish I did. Robin says she don't have a surgery either, so it ain't gonna be fair. If we doing it and y'all ain't doing it. Angel, would you recommend a 7 needle? Yeah, yeah, I would recommend a 7 needle if it works in your budget. And it depends upon what you're going to do. Now, my machine was having some issues, and I got down to 7 needles. 3 of my needles was acting a fool until I just got it serviced. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It was pretty much me. Not anyway. I could have fixed it myself if I knew what I was doing, because it was absolutely quick and simple, no extra charge. But anyway, I was down to 7 needles for a while and I functioned well with it. I didn't like the fact that I was down to 7 needles because I'm used to 10. Wish I had 15 or 20, be honest about it. But I don't see a problem with 15 needles, 7 needles, depending upon what the cost is. Compare it to a 10 needle or a 12 needle and see if, a few extra dollars get you a 10 or a 12. It might be more beneficial to do that, because I'm telling you, at least for me, the more needles I get, the more I want. The bigger the hoop I get, the bigger I want. That's just who I am. And I'm like you, Miss Joy. Um, I'm not going to get a pulling, and I know I'm not going to get a buy. Um, Mainly, in all honesty, is I don't have the room and the weight of the machine. And it's not what I really, really want, to be honest about it. And I've been vacillating back and forth about whether or not I want to get another multi-needle machine or if I want to go ahead and get, a really nice single needle machine. I don't know, so I won't be doing anything anytime soon. But I have to tell you, I keep seeing people with that by mirror, and it's beginning to make me change my mind about its usage. However, don't forget my video from last week and the 5 questions that I put out there to ask before you buy. It is extremely important that you make sure that you know who's going to train you or what kind of training, and everything that I have read and seen, the technicians are in China. There is a significant time difference. They will respond back to you quickly via email, so I've been told. But you're going to have to keep in mind that even if you do get a chance to speak with somebody, there may be a language barrier because of the accent. And you will have to maintain that machine yourself. So as long as you're ready to do that, then yeah. Also, if there is a part that you need to get, keep in mind that it may take a while, especially now with the tariffs and the war and all this other craziness. Who knows? And that's something that you need to make sure, because it doesn't do you any good if you can't use your machine. You got it and you can't use it. So how long it's going to take you to get a part? Who's going to train you? Will there be a technician that can come out to you? What else was the can it's two more. Can't think of them right now. But two more questions that I had posed last week that you need to ask before you make the decision to get those machines. And think about what is it that you're going to do with it. Now, me, I'm very intrigued with the size because I want a bigger hoop size and I want more needles. And the price sounds very interesting. So yeah, I'm not against them at all, but I do know if you're going to get it, go in there with your eyes wide open, knowing what you may encounter and just be prepared for it. Okay. Miss Joyce, I'm waiting for a surgery class. Mine is still in the box. Okay. And Becky said, "Well, Robin, you and Becky, you all can be the judges while y'all watch those of us that have surgery machine." Well, I tell you, Taisha and who else has Taisha and Deborah and who else has a surgery that I know of? Leslie. I know you guys have surgery machines, so you all gonna run rings around me when it comes down to surgeon. But I am definitely planning on giving it a try. So we're gonna work on that one of these Wednesdays and come up with something. Hi, Sean. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you. Ah, okay. Hoo. And Miss Joy, pulling desktop is right around $4,000. Yeah. And pull and buy smart stitch are around $5,000. Yes, that is true. And Ruthie's in Florida usually have good sales, so anybody's interested in going down to Florida checking out Ruthie. And Miss Joy, you said flatbed or multi needle machine, both. And Miss Joy said, "Don't forget to hit the buttons, you guys. Hit the buttons. I need that. Hit the buttons. I appreciate it if you do." And uh, Miss Joy, you said most multi-needle machines are on rolling carts. Some of them come with the machine. Some of them you have to pay for it. But that is true. So that makes them mobile. You're correct. But when I say they're difficult to move, I'm talking about in and out of your house. And heaven forbids if you have stairs. I have stairs right now. My room that I'm using right now is a spare bedroom on the second floor. So if I was to even entertained because I mean you can take stuff out, move it around and everything to make room if you really wanted to. I could if I really wanted to and stuff. I could figure out a way to get another machine in here if that was something I really want. But my thing is, and I probably could hire people to get it up here and get it out. But the thought is that's a big tail, heavy tail machine. Just the mere fact of something cost weighing 300 and 400 pounds is just it's daunting to me. It really is. Um, but again, it is extremely tempting. Never thought that I would even be remotely interested in those machines until I start researching them and hearing about them and finding out more and more people that I interface with online and what have you have them and they seem to like them. So that makes it a lot more um, intriguing. And Jane Jarvis, hi, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. I found that the 10 needle is easier to thread than some. Yes, this 10 needle is easy to thread. And Catherine, mine came pre-threaded. I've had it since 2022, no problem. Uh, my machine did not come pre-threaded, but like I said, it's not difficult to thread. The pathway, it has the arrows that shows you the pathway. So if you follow the arrows and stuff, you'll be fine. And Carol say no touchy tension. I'm with you. I don't do a lot of messing around with the tension. And my tech told me, and Justin, the other tech that I had in Maryland, told me the same thing. On our machine, our 10 needle 1055X, PR 1055X, if you see that red line on your tension, it is way too loose. That was his main thing. He said, make sure if it ever gets to the point where you see in red, that is way too loose and it needs to be tightened. So that's just a little tip that he gave me. Other than that, you can tweak it if you feel the need, but I've never really felt the need to do too much tweaking with my tension. When he sets it and tests it with the test stitch out that they do, every time, and I'm sure when you take your machine in, they do the same thing. But every time I've ever had a technician come in, they run the test, the stitch test. They look at the front and they look at the back and make sure that that is the bobbin, you got the 1/3, you got the what is it? The bobbin 1/3 in the middle, and then the color 2/3 on each side. And they will tinker around with your bobbin and the top thread until they get it set just right, and then that's it. Now we can check it ourselves if we feel like it ever gets off. Then check that and tinker around with it until you get that 1/3. He did say, however, my technician, the thickness of your thread and different brands and different dyes can have effect on your tension. So there there are circumstances that do occur that would require you to maybe tinker around with your tension. So just, don't be afraid of it. But for me, I've been pretty um satisfied with that. And Robin said, I don't touch the tension when embroidering. When quilting, I adjust the top tension only. Now, my SE 1900, I don't worry about the tension as much with it because it's a push button and it makes it a little easy. You push it and put it on the number. If that don't work for you, put it on a different number. And it's not like you got to twist the knob and hope that you're getting it correctly or whatever. So I've never really felt too uncomfortable adjusting my tension on my flatbed. It's just tension on the multi needle because there's no um it's not a push button. It's just doing the dialing of the knobs and stuff. So you never know if you're turning it too much one way or not enough or what have you. Also with the little screw in your bobbin, because he ended up tightening my bobbin screw when he was here. He said it was a little bit too loose. I never really thought about it, but I do check it. You pull it and see it. If it dangles, if it's then it's way too loose. So I do that. There is like a weight, I think, that came with our machine that you can use as a tension tester for your bobbin as well. I don't use that either, but I'm pretty sure that came with the machine. Hey there, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. And Kingsbury talking about your Tajima wannabes. The brand is Ufun, Yunfun. Great machine. I've never heard of that, but that's cool. That's cool. Well, you like your machine is working well and it's got the parts of a Tajima, then that's pretty good because those are good machines. Um, Angel, would you recommend a brother or a baby lock six needle? I have never owned either. Therefore, I've never used either. What I do know, in all honesty, in my opinion, when I look at the prices, I'm like, it's brand new. That's a lot of money for a six needle, but it's still cheaper than a 10 needle. So you may not, depending if you want to add a few extra thousand, because that's what it would be to move up to a six needle, then I don't see, I mean, to a 10 needle, I really don't see a problem with a six needle. What I do know that several people that I know that started off with six needles end up moving up to a 10 needle, and then they move from that to a 15 or 20 needle, or 18 needle or 16 needle, whatever, depending upon the machine. So they kept moving up. And especially if they have a business. And usually people, when they get their multi-needle machines, they are looking at the business side of it. Oftentimes, some people get it just for hobby, but most people get it because they're trying to do a little business or something. Even with myself, I don't put a lot of energy into my business, but I do it for a business. I do make a little change, and I wouldn't do it if I only had a single needle machine, especially the single needle machine that I have, because I couldn't keep up. It's too much that I do that wouldn't work. Now, when I was just doing mask, it was fine. I did that on my single needle machine for months. However, I did get my 10 needle machine during the pandemic, and I started making my mask on my 10 needle machine. So, it is what it is. And Jane, the playbook for learning is great. It came with my PR 1055X. It was part of the deal. Great. And Jenny, you say you had that book as well. The 10 needle is great for quilting a quilt in the hoop. And Marina, oh, the man is great for insomnia. I got you. I know that's right. That reminds me, when I was in nursing school, we had psych nursing that, was part of our curriculum. And I remember one holiday, Christmas holiday, our psych instructor invited, because I was in a small accelerated class, so we're like a close knit group of people that spent time with each other 5 days a week. So we developed this friendship relationship. So the psych instructor invited us to her home for a Christmas gathering. And the group of us decided we were going to put on a little skit at her house. And it had to do with surgery and all that kind of stuff. And one of the part was anesthesia. And they put the patient on the table and everything, and was getting ready to start the surgery. And they asked for anesthesia. And they brought out this big green book, our psych book, that we had to read. And that's what they used for her anesthesia. She laid down, they put the book over, because it reminds me of that, because you talking about putting you to sleep. Every time everybody complained about that book. You sat there and read that book and fell smooth asleep reading that book. It was so boring. Oh, what else will remind me? I will never forget that she cracked up because this is the book that she recommended for us to read, and that was our way of letting her know how boring that damn book was. But she took it in good stride, so it wasn't so bad. But that was pretty cool, Marina, pretty cool. Hi, Margot. How are you? Um, and Jane said, "Did you say the mighty hoops can't work on the 10 knee?" Oh, no, 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 no. I thought if I said that, I made a mistake. I meant single needle machine. Mighty hoops do not work on single needle machines. They don't have any mighty hoops. They do have a hooping station for single needle machines, but no mighty hoops. There are magnetic hoops available for single needle machines. Dime makes some, and I believe Brother has some, and maybe some other companies have some magnetic hoops, but they're not mighty hoops. Mighty hoops only make their hoops, as far as I am aware, for multi-needle machine and various multi-needle machine. And yes, you can get mighty hoops for the buy machines. I know that question came up. And if you have mighty hoops already and you switch from one multi-needle machine to a different multi-needle machine, check with your mighty hoop distributor, whomever that may be, or go directly to Midwest and ask them if they have brackets that you can purchase to put onto the current mighty hoop that you have. That will save you money and save you from having to buy the entire hoop over again. I was able to do that because it's the brackets that really matters, because when you order your mighty hoops, they ask you what kind of machine do you have, the brand and the needle size. And they know, because they have the whole list of how large of a hoop you can get. Because if you ever look at their product sheet, it tells you, like for our machine, it will tell you how big of a hoop you can get, and you can't get anything bigger than the 8 by 13 unless you get the jumbo hoop, and that's the 14 by 14, which I have. All like the 11 by 13s and 10 by 10s and stuff like that will not fit on our machine, so we should not buy them for our machine. Now remember Jeanette from um, mm, Baroka Sewing and Craft. She mentioned that she made a mistake and bought the wrong size jumbo hoop for her 10 needle machines. And it surprised me a little bit because they, if she told them what machine she was buying it for, they would have known what size she could get and would not have sold her a too big of a hoop. So that surprised me. But make sure that you let your distributor, because like I go through Mighty Hoop Designs. What's her name? Her name is Kathy Hug, Haug. I've been buying from her ever since I've been buying Mighty Hoops. I know other people have their affiliates and stuff. I don't have an affiliate, but I shop from her because I've always done it. And all I have to do is text her or call her up and tell her I need this hoop or that hoop, or ask her about what hoop I should get based upon whatever it is that I'm planning on doing, and she will recommend a hoop. But she is so good. She will, you get free shipping if you spend $100 or more. It comes with free shipping, and she ordered it, and you can get it in a couple of days. You get it. She is good. I love her, and she has a site, and she has a lot of tutorials and everything that shows you how to use your mighty hoop for various projects. So anybody that's not familiar with mighty hoops, or not that comfortable with mighty hoops and what it is you can use it for and the different sizes and so forth, check her out. Her name is Kathy with a K, and her last name is Haug, I believe. I can't never remember the name of her channel, but if you look her up on Facebook, you'll find her. Angel, thanks for answering my questions about a 7 needle mint 6 needle. Anywho, I am a hobbyist and gift giver, not sure about the business side yet. With that being said, I think a 6 needle machine would be absolutely perfect for you. I don't think you would need much of anything else because if I'm not mistaken, I think that the largest hoop size for the 6 needle is an 8 by 13, which is the same size for this one. So you got it made. The only biggest difference is you don't have a camera, you have a laser light, which is still good, and you only have 6 needles. I don't think you have my design center. I'm not sure. But if you got embroideries, you're still good. You're golden. I think that's cool. That's a good idea. Quilt for Joy. Hi, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. Uh, it looks like you can't do edge to edge on a multi-needle, but it sounds like you can. Yes, you can. Now, Becky, which is on here, has done edge to edge on a quilt on her 10 needle machine. I have tried, not been successful, but that's just my limitation. I just haven't done it right, but it can be done. Yes, you can do edge to edge on a 10 needle machine. The other thing is, they our 10 needle machine, brother 10 needle machine, has some quilting um, software already in blocks, and they have this connect with the camera part of the my design software, and you can, if you're using those quilting blocks and stuff, you can come up with the parameters for how many blocks you need to quilt the whole, to do quilting for the whole quilt. So you can quilt on your machine. I just have to figure out how to do it. I've seen it done in the book, and but I haven't tried it in a while. But that's what I'm going to do because we're going to be working on quilts for our next social society crew project. We're going to be working on our America's 250th year anniversary celebration quilts. So what we decided to do is a project, all of us, and it's going to be however big you want it, however you want to celebrate that. It doesn't have to be a red, white, and blue quilt, but I think a lot of people are going to kind of incorporate that in there. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. Mine is going to be a little surprise. But anyway, I'm doing it. I got my fabric. I'm working on getting my design together. And I do have what is it, the EQ8? And I'm working on figuring out that, so because I'm going to design my own quilt pattern and put it together, and it's going to be about a twin size quilt. That's the plan. That's the plan. That's the plan. But yeah, and I definitely plan on doing the quilting on my 10 needle machine. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to figure it out. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out because yes, you can do it on the 10 needle machine. And you can definitely do it like on a Luminaire or Avenir or something like that because Deborah did her edge to edge on her Luminaire. So it can be done. It can be done. And Robin quilts her all of her quilts on her SE 1900. So you can do it on that as well. Bless her heart. I've seen her with this big old quilt hanging all over her and stuff, and she just be going with that machine. I don't see how she does it, but she does it. Uh, and Becky did say, yes, you can. She's answering your question. Quilt for Joy. Yes, you can do edge to edge on quilts because, like I said, Becky has done it. Mm, 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 mm. And who is this? Becky said, I have a 10 needle and did a large quilt. And it came out absolutely gorgeous. So it can be done. She is living proof that she has done it. And Jane, I bought extra bobbin cases so I can use 40 weight for quilting my quilts. Yeah. Uh, So this is a question, and I was asking this. I was thinking the exact same thing. Um, Quilt for Joy and Becky. So there's room in the back for the quilt to hang over, or do you keep the hanging quilt in front of the hoop? I'm gonna let you answer that question, Becky, if you don't mind, because you have done it. I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna let you answer it for Quilt for Joy, if you don't mind. Uh, Quilt for Joy, I do edge to edge quilting on my 10 needle. This is Jane. On my 10 needle all the time, I can get up to 72 inches of the quilt behind the needle. Wow, Bob. It's the only way I quilt these days since I don't have a long arm. Well, that answers that question. You can get all that quilt back there? Girl. Okay. And Becky says she does hers in front. So there you go. And Quilt for Joy says, wow, that's awesome. I have a single needle for edge to edge. I may have to add a new toy to my sewing room. Okay. And Becky said doing the edge to edge on your machine is cheaper than having it done on a long arm, and that is true. And Jane said, yep, much cheaper than having to pay for long arm. And Marina, you're saying good night, and you'll see us tomorrow. Yay! Yay! And in the morning, because she's watching Gifts Age 2, and I'll be going to work. And Joyce, hi, how are you? Thank you for stopping in. And Becky is going to say good night so she can get some rest. You do that. I know you're tired. I'm glad that you were feeling well enough to stop in. Hopefully, you'll feel well enough to stop by tomorrow. So good night, Joyce. Becky. Quilt for Joy. I enjoy doing embroidery where you edge to edge. It also beats spending time sending your quilt out. Uh and it keeps the shipping on my quilt down. Yeah. Yeah. And Joy says she has a 6 needle machine and she loves it. So hopefully that answers your question. I know several people that have their 6 needle machines and they use them just as well. Um, Cyber Real, what did you say? The YouTube channel called Mighty Hoops. Oh, okay. It's called Let's Hoop It Together by Kathy Hall. Okay. Yes. Let's Hoop It Together. And that is the correct. I said Kathy with a K, but it's Kathy with a C. Sorry about that. It is Kathy with a C. So yes, you are correct. And she's so personal. I have spoken to her on the phone a few times. So she's very knowledgeable, very professional. She gets right back to you. I've called her early, I've called her late, and I just love working with her. And like I said, I've been doing it for the whole 5 years. I've been embroidering, so that's one of the reasons why I haven't switched from her because I just kind of it's easy for me to just, hey Kathy, I need XYZ, or Kathy, I'm ordering blah 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 blah, and then next thing I know, I got an invoice and he's telling me it's on the way. So I'm cool. I like her a lot. Um, and Jane said just roll the fabric, which is a problem for me because I guess I have problem trying to do the Christmas tree under the regular machine, the Christmas tree skirt. I can imagine a 72-inch quilt rolled up behind here. I'd have to figure that out. And Margot, it can be done on the Brother Dream machine also. Okay. Okay. And you are more than welcome for answering your questions. Thank you for asking the question. That is one of the main reasons why we're here, why we do this, because there are so many people that are in the group that are so knowledgeable and they do what they do. And it helps everybody to be able to share the information with everybody. So, yes, we do ask questions and answer questions while we're here and share with everybody. Um, Yeah, I talked about the maintenance and all of that. The one thing that and it seems like most people on here have a machine, not everybody, but the thing is, if you don't have a machine, don't feel like you're behind or you got to get it or you're missing out or anything like that, because you can definitely do a lot with a single needle machine, as we're attesting to now. And jumping up buying a multi-needle machine requires a lot of thought and a lot of planning, because they're not cheap. Even if you're getting the machines like the pulling and the buying, whatever that are, $4,000 and $5,000, which is a wonderful price, and I understand that they're pretty good machines. It's still a lot of money. $4 or $5,000 is still a lot of money. It's an investment. But don't think that you have to jump up and get one in order to do the things that you want to do, because you don't have to. Take your time, make sure you're getting it for the right reason, and make sure that you're willing to take the time to learn how to use it. Make sure that you're willing to spend the time and energy in maintaining it, because that is the most important thing. You will have to do most of your own maintenance. You're gonna have to take things apart. Now, the 10 needle machine, they don't want us touching it. It voids our warranty. They want a technician to take care of these machines. Now, the 15 needles on up, I think, is pretty standard. That the expectation is the owner will be doing that. But I do know for a fact our brother 10 needle machine, the expectation is there will be a certified technician taking care of our machine, whether they come into your home or you take it to a dealer. But since I have had tech come into the house, I've seen it done. They take all of this off. They go in here and unscrew it, and you see all the nakedness inside your machine. And they're in there cleaning it out, oiling it up, greasing it up, looking at all the different components and stuff, make sure everything is functioning and stuff. And then they check your tension, and they just check different things. And the LCD panel, which we don't know what the codes and stuff are, there are certain codes and stuff that they have access to, that they punch in stuff and that comes up that allows them to check and test and see what's working, what's not working, and they can adjust it and all that kind of stuff. I've seen them do it, but it's nothing that we can get to, because we don't have the credentials, we don't have the codes to get into that part of the machine and the brain of the machine to check stuff. Only the technicians know how to do that, or have the authority, I would say, to do that. Because I have never seen anything, a button on there that I can hit to get me into where they get into, and I can look and see, oh my goodness, I ain't never seen this before, but it's not for me to see. And they get in there and they look at that, and they look at the inside of the machine, and they do what they have to do. And the main thing is that they're oiling all the places that need to be oiled. And then we don't have to oil anything but the bobbin area every day. That's the only oiling we have to do. Now, in your manual, it will say the little, it's a little felt disc on the top of the bar that they recommend that you oil every so often. However, I had a technician tell me not to oil it too much, because it's not replaceable unless you're replacing the bar, and that's money. It's not replaceable, and the oil can disintegrate. So I don't oil it routinely. But what I did do, when I noticed that my machine was sounding dry, I started oiling it, because I said, my baby needs some oil. I could tell it needs some oil. And so I did, not a lot, but I did. And it helped. I could tell the difference in the sound. So, like I said, you know your machine, and you know when you hear something, it's a machine, and that's metal. And you can tell when something needs to be oiled. That's just about all I can say. And so you have to pay attention to that. Um, And cleaning out, keep it clean, change your needles. That's one thing he asked me, how often do you change your needles? Because, big on changing needles. Using decent thread, not a lot of cheap thread, not a lot of thread that puts off lint. The other thing is do not use a can air. Don't use can air on your machine. You're just pushing dirt and dust and lint up into the machine that can cause issues. Don't use can air. You can use a vacuum cleaner and your brushes, but don't use can air. I started off using can air because no one told me not to until I found out I wasn't supposed to use it. So I haven't bought a can of can air since. So don't do that at all. Please. It's not good for you. Um, The other thing that you're going to keep in mind when you're getting a 10 needle machine, I remember Eve from a long time ago, she mentioned about how much more stabilizer you have to buy. Stabilizer, thread, bobbin, all of those things increase because you have a bigger hoops and all of that. I have a lot of stabilizers still available that are pre-cut that I bought for my single needle machine. I can't use on this machine because it's not big enough for the hoops. But I can use them on my with my 5x5, and that's about it. But the rest of them, they're too small. But I can use them on my with my uh, other machine. So you're gonna buy. I have a couple of baskets of stabilizer. Now, be careful with that. You don't need a whole boatload of stabilizer. That is true, but you do need to get different kinds of stabilizer. And I'm not going to go over that tonight. I've talked about it before, but there are different types of stabilizers that are important that you have available to go with your machines and everything. So the better your machine will stitch out better. You got good thread, good needles, and good stabilizer and hooped correctly. And pretty much some people never ever get a 10 needle, I mean, a multi needle machine. They will stay with a single needle machine forever. They love them, which is perfectly okay. It's not a destination. It is simply, a journey. If that's something that you want. For me, I hopped right into it right after getting my 10 needle machine. My single needle machine. I only had my single needle machine for a few months before I went straight to a 10 needle machine, but that was just my journey, how I felt that what I wanted to do. And again, like I've said over and over, if I had the resources, which includes space, I would get another machine, but I'm still torn. I don't know if I want another multi-needle machine or if I want a big um, single needle machine because I want them both. I want them both, but I don't know which one I want the most. So time will tell and let me know which one I need to get. And Sharon, hi, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. And don't forget the thumbs up, she says. Definitely need the thumbs up. I definitely need the hit the notification bell and subscribe if you have not. Please subscribe. Very important. I'm trying to hit the milestone of 2,500 and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And once I get that, then I can move for my next milestone. And there will be a giveaway of some kind once I hit that 2,500. I only need 50 more subscribers to get it. I don't know yet how I'm going to do the giveaway because I'm not on StreamYard anymore, and Restream does not have that lottery thing. So I have to figure out if there has to be a workaround. I got to figure out what that is. And Quilt for Joy says, you heard that some of the newer machines, the plastic parts are self-oiling and adding oil destroys the plastic. So you need to know your machine. Exactly. That part is true because I know brother machines, they don't want us oiling those machines. They want technicians to oil them. They do not want us to oil those machines. Um, and I'm good with that. They tell you on our 1055X where to oil every day, and that's it. And that's all I do. I don't oil anywhere else on my machine at all, which suits me just fine. But if you get like the bag, I mean, I keep calling it the bag. If you get the buy, the pulling, the smart stitch, the Racoma, the red line, the happy, all of those machines, the Gemas, all of those machines, you have to oil those machines yourself. You have to take them apart and oil them up. So every so often, even with the Melcos, you got to do your maintenance on them. So be prepared when you're buying these multi-needle machines. Know your machine. Know what it is that is expected of you before you get the machine. Do your research. Look it up. A lot of times you can download manuals of these different machines without even owning them. Download the manuals and look through them, browse them. Download the brochures, look through them, browse them. Look at the YouTube videos. Put in there whatever machine you're interested in, and a whole boatload of videos will pop up, and look at them and see what the people are saying about those machines and what it takes and how they feel about it and how well it works for them. Most people will be positive, but that's okay because you want to know what their experiences are to see which machine is going to work best for you. And don't let price be your main decision maker. Is it extremely important? Sure it is. But please don't let that be your main decision maker because I have to tell you, for me, it is not. I am so tempted with the buy and all of those machines with the price is extremely tempting. But I'm still hesitant. I'm still hesitant because I'm just hesitant. Not to say I shouldn't or won't or somebody else shouldn't do it, but I just know that I need to feel comfortable before I make an investment, whether it's $5,000 or $20,000. I need to be comfortable that I'm going to be okay with this machine. My machine is 5 years old now. My technician came in here and told me my machine is very well maintained, practically new, runs perfectly, no issues. That's what I want. If I invest in another machine, I want 5 years from now someone coming and telling me your machine is like new. That's what I want. I don't want it breaking down. I don't want to be calling for parts. I don't want any of those things. And whenever I have a little hiccup and something not working right on my machine, when I finally get someone to look at it, it is very minute. The issue is extremely minute. I've not had anybody to have to buy me another part yet, which makes me feel, take that back. My threader, automatic threader, that thing from what I've been told is fragile. And I did get a new threader several years ago, but that's the only thing that I've ever had to have replaced. And they did that in less than 10 minutes and it was extremely inexpensive. So that makes me feel good. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of it. And it gives me confidence. When I come here and turn my machine on, my expectation is that puppy gonna work. That's my expectation. And so far I've been blessed and it has. So that's my hesitancy. But not to put a damper on anybody else that is thinking otherwise. I mean, um, if I had known about the bi mirror before I bought this 5 years ago, I'm pretty sure I would have ended up with the buy because it the price range was where I was looking, and the size and the count of needles, all of that fit into what I was looking for. I just was not familiar with the machine, had never heard of the machine before. So that's the main reason why I never bought one at that time. But as I was researching, I ran across this one and a couple of other ones, and then I made my decision. And Quilt for Joy says, a lady on Facebook wanted a faux, but when she went to a quilt show, she found a Janome about $3,000 less. She hates the Janome and wishes she would have gotten a faux. Money should not be the factor. That is true. It should not be. And obviously, hopefully, she had done the research and knew that the faux was providing her with what her need was, what she was looking for. So to switch because of the Janome and saving $3,000, in my opinion, she was getting less than, because Janomes aren't cheap. Fobs aren't cheap. Whatever it is, the cost of that fob, if the Janome was $3,000 less, it probably didn't offer all that her fob was going to offer. And you need to get what you're comfortable with. Do your research. And I know me, I researched this brother, and I had mentioned this last week. I had researched the brother and I researched the Avance, and I was out and the Melco. I wanted the Melco, and I'm glad I didn't get it because I love the Summit better than the EMX16 or whatever that thing is. Uh, Even though I like it, I love the Summit. But the Melco was out of my price range at the time. So it was believe it or not. So it was between the brother and the Avance. The Avance has a huge hoop, 15, 20 needles, whatever, whatever. But I like the bells and whistles of the brother better. And that's what sold me. And I don't regret that at all. Never got the Avance. Don't know whether I would have been happier or not, even though I know it had the hoop size and the count, the needle count and everything. But you don't hear a lot about it. Is it a good machine, a bad machine? I don't know. I don't hear good or bad. I don't hear a lot about that machine. So it's not a very popular machine. But I don't regret getting my brother machine. Not one day have I regretted purchasing this machine, which is what makes me happy, because based upon what I wanted, I got. So going forward, if and when, before I get another machine, I'm going to do the research comparison and then get what I think is going to make me happy going forward. Because whatever I get probably will be the last investment machine that I get, because I'm getting up there in age. I don't think I'm going to be buying too much more after that. Not big investments like, the cost of a big fancy machine. But it would be one or the other. I don't know uh, yet what it would be. But anyway, I'm looking at the time and we're getting up there, and I do appreciate everybody stopping by. We had a good conversation, a lot of input, a lot of knowledge shared. So again, don't forget the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Subscribe if you have not. Help me to reach that milestone. The more the merrier. And I will see you guys next week. I will see the Social Society crew tomorrow night. I got my stuff to get started on my quilt. So I might be doing some cutting tomorrow night, is what hopefully I'll be doing. And we'll be going from there. And so I am going to wrap this up and say good night to everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. I think we had a wonderful conversation, you guys, everybody. And I met some new people as well. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm sure you guys have watched me, just hadn't come in before. So I do appreciate that. Do appreciate that. So until next week, you guys have a wonderful, blessed rest of your week and take care. Good night, everybody. See you later.